their life. People seek it out. They go towards what they're inclined to. Think now. If maybe you're inclined to be a doctor or a lawyer, and you learn this, and you've been wanting to do this all of your life, but you learned this. You spent 20 years of your life being educated so that you can come to the point that you could serve humanity like this. And this is the purpose of your life, as you see it. But that's not the purpose of your life. The purpose of your life cannot be this, because what happens? As soon as you cease to be a doctor, as soon as you cease to be a lawyer, as soon as you retire, then you should do what? Naturally, you should die. And if we take in that preparation is a part of your going towards the aim you think is your aim, then no, that is not what your aim is in life. Your aim, in fact, even if you become a doctor or become a lawyer or become whatever you become, a butcher, a baker, whatever it is, all of this, you have to do it for the sake and the pleasure of Allah. And this child is coming into a tradition of service to his Lord, and his parents should be well versed so that they, even though they think of the child as being theirs, in reality, the wife thinks of her husband as her husband. The husband thinks of the wife as his wife. She belongs to me. He belongs to me. These are the things we say. But the reality is that you belong to Allah. And your service is to Allah. When your wife serves you, she's serving you for Allah. When you feed her, you're feeding her for Allah. Why is it for Allah? Can he not do it himself? Yes, he can. But he has made you to be of noble stuff. That you do a job and care for one another. And you care for this child. And the greatest care that you can give to them is what? Is to give them the guidance that has been given to you. And you have to be careful that you're not astray of what it is that Allah has taught you to do. That means you must know. How many a parent has gone out and purchased a book when they got their baby home? Yeah, because they don't come with a manual. Everybody knows that. You go and get a book. But this is something that you don't need to get a book for. But you need to get to the book about it. You need to know that you have to raise this child so that this child will be happy in its end. You're not raising this child so this child will go to the fire. You're not doing that. You're raising this child so this child will what? Into paradise. You want them to have good in this life and good in the next life.
Okay. Yeah.
You don't want them to have good in this life or some good in this life and then be in the fire. And the fire is real. In accordance with what you believe in your faith, you know that the fire is real. And Jannah is real. Allah is real. The Prophet is real. The book is real. All of these things are real. As Allah says, they are haq. They are the truth. They are the reality. Santa Claus isn't the reality, but the people teach their children lies. Can they live without it? Can they live without the Easter Bunny? What does that do for them in terms of their real life? It gives them something to play. This life is not about play and amusement. This life is about something. If somebody tries to play with your life, tell me, how are you going to be? You're going to be angry. Don't play with me. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you such a message. He tells you, don't play with your life. I will be calling you back one day. I gave you life, and I will be calling you back one day. Every one of us, each and every one of us, has been created out of things that were not alive. From what was dead, he brought something that was alive. Do you think it'll be hard for him to take from what is living, what will be dead? One day, he will bring you back to him. And he will, everybody knows this. Whether you believe in Islam or not, you all know this. You're going to testify for what you did in this life. And in what way will you testify? You will testify as to the rightness or the wrongness of your actions. Your responsibility is to teach this child. But you cannot teach this child unless you learn yourself. And you're the head of the household, sir. You're the one who's responsible. Your wife has a responsibility, but she's a school, but you have a responsibility to lead it. And you have to be right. You have to be right with your wife. You have to be right with your wife. You have to be right with your child. And this by way of being right with the society. And then, because you will be doing rightness to this society that you live in, and not causing problems that other people will not want to deal with. SubhanAllah. You will see that as a result of your righteousness, Allah will add unto you more right. He will give you good for good, as he says, Al jaza'ul ihsan ila al-ihsan. Is there any reward for good other than good? We all know that you can't get anything from good. If you do good, you're going to get good. You're going to get good. No doubt about it. Do well with this child. He is a test for you. He is a blessing for you. He is a ni'mah for you. But he's not to be made so important that you forget what he was created for, nor what you were created for. Our father, Abraham, waited 100 years and he didn't have a child. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to him, you're going to have a child, a boy child at that. And he gave him Ismail. He gave him a boy child. Someone who other children may be produced from. Because we follow the line in from the male. A boy child. He might have, who will carry his name and his traditions. What was his tradition? That he served and worshiped Allah. But what happened? How overjoyed was he to get the news he was going to have a boy child? And his wife, she laughed. She laughed. She said, I'm an old woman. I'm barren. And so Allah told her, gave revelation for her specifically. People don't hear this. He gave revelation for her. The angels told her, it's easy for Allah. He created you, caused you to live to this great extent, this life. Now it's easy for him to bring a life out of you. That was Isaac. Before he had Ismail, who was from from Hajar. And Hajar was a young Egyptian woman. You know Egyptian, right? Like this. Like that. Don't get up in arms about who you are, all right? She was an Egyptian woman. And she had his child. And he was told, sacrifice it. Make nusuk for me. He waited 100 years with a wife who was barren, and she didn't have a child. And then he gave him a child through Hajar. And Hajar had the child. And after the child got a certain age, he told him, I'm going to slaughter you. And the child said, okay, do what you're commanded to do. And his wife, Hajar, she said, okay. If your husband comes to you, sister, and tells you that Allah revealed to him in a vision that he should slaughter your child, what will you say? You're not going to just say, You're going to call the police? You're going to start fighting? But she didn't. She said, what? She said, do as you're commanded. She obeyed her husband and she believed in him. But why? Because he was a man of faith and he was true. He was true to Allah and she knew it. Is your husband like that? You know him to be true to Allah? Let me tell you this. You'll never have to hear those words from him.